It is true that till now, India has strictly adhered to the no first use policy. What happens in the future depends on the circumstances.
Well, this is the region in question, Kashmir, at the northern tip of India and Pakistan. Both countries lay claim to Kashmir, with the United Nations describing it as a disputed territory. The so-called line of control remains the de facto border, and the countries maintain their own administrations within the territory. But earlier this month, India revoked Kashmir's special autonomy status. Pakistan says that that decision has destabilised the status quo in the region. Now, the United Nations prohibits changes to the status of any disputed state, but it's also feared that Kashmir's Muslim-majority population could be targeted by people of other faiths in the region, with the conflict already into its 72nd year without a solution. We've been hearing from political and strategic analysts both in Pakistan and India on what might be next for the Kashmir crisis.
There is something called nuclear blackmail, which Pakistan has been using against India, by which they say that, look, we are both nuclear armed, so we cannot afford an escalation to a full-scale war, and so you have to bear with the jihadist terrorism that they sponsor across our border in Indian Kashmir. So India is trying to call the nuclear bluff of Pakistan by saying, look, no first use is not set in stone. If the circumstances change, as our defense minister is saying, by which he means if Pakistan attempts, large-scale terrorism or to foment, an uprising against India in the Indian Kashmir, or tries to, do incursions into Indian territory, then we may have to rethink. So in a way, it's a subtle hint. It's a signaling not to conduct any military misadventures over Kashmir.
From Pakistan perspective, it is not worrying, but it should be worrying from the perspective of the international community, because in a broader picture, whenever there is a war between two countries, and whenever the situation arises where one particular country can use a nuclear weapon, they are not going to consider the option that, since they had a declared policy to have no first use, India has torn apart all the bilateral agreements and the 17 UN Security Council resolutions which call for the plebiscite on Kashmir. So India has left no room for the dialogue. But if international community does not intervene, they see India as a big market, and that is why they don't want to jeopardize their relation with them, and that is why the world politics is being driven by the hard economic realities and not by the morality.